AITA for banning my sister's baby from my wedding? I'm getting married in less than 3 weeks, and what should have been one of the happiest times of my life has turned into a stressful, overwhelming mess because of my sister, Alea. For the past 2 years, my fiancé, Rocco, and I have been planning our wedding. It's been a long, exhausting process because I've been trying to balance everyone's needs, especially my family's. From the very beginning, I made one rule crystal clear. The wedding ceremony and dinner would be an adults-only event, ages 12 and up. Kids were absolutely welcome to attend the open house reception later that night. But the first half of the day was meant to be calm, intimate, and focused on celebrating our marriage without crying babies or restless toddlers running around. I didn't just casually mention this rule. I spelled it out everywhere, on our wedding website, in the invitations, in a group text with family, and even in personal reminders when people RSVP'd. Everyone said they understood, and not a single person objected. I truly thought we were all on the same page. Then Alea had her second baby. She gave birth to her son, Bowden, in February. She also has a 3-year-old daughter, Valerie, who is as sweet as can be, but also very high energy, as most toddlers are. By the time of my wedding, Bowden will be 8 months old. I was genuinely thrilled for Alea when she had him. She's my only sister, and we've always been close. I had even asked her to be by my side as a sort of best woman, though I told her she wouldn't need to take on all the traditional best man responsibilities because she's a busy mom. I wanted her to feel included and honored. I've done everything possible to make this wedding easy for her, especially since I know how overwhelming parenting can be. In fact, when Rocco and I were first talking about wedding plans, we were seriously considering a destination wedding in Italy. But Alea immediately said there was no way she and her husband, Francisco, could travel internationally with 2 kids. She didn't ask me not to do it, but I could tell she was stressed just thinking about it. So Rocco and I completely changed our plans and held the wedding locally instead, largely so Alea and Francisco could attend without the burden of travel. I never told her how much that meant to me. I just did it quietly because I love her and wanted her there. Yesterday morning, though, I got a text from Alea that completely blindsided me. Alea, 8:43 a.m. Hey, just a heads up, Francisco and I will be bringing Bowden to the ceremony and dinner. He's still so little, and I think it'll be easy to manage him. I stared at my phone for a full minute, completely stunned. She didn't ask me. She didn't say, would it be okay if we brought Bowden? She told me what she was going to do, like the decision had already been made and my opinion didn't matter at all. I felt a rush of anger, hurt, and panic all at once. After everything I'd done to make this wedding accommodating for her, this felt like a betrayal. I took a deep breath and texted back, trying to stay calm. Me, 8:48 a.m. Hey, I thought we agreed on no kids at the ceremony or dinner. You can bring Bowden to the open house after, but the first part of the day is adults only. Her reply came almost instantly. Alea, 8:49 a.m. I know, but he's different. He's a baby, and I don't want to leave him with a sitter for that long. Plus, he's really quiet. My heart sank. Alea works part-time, and I know for a fact that she's perfectly comfortable leaving Bowden with a sitter when she goes to work for hours at a time. She has months of notice to plan childcare for this single day, months to figure out a safe, trusted option. The truth was clear. She wasn't worried about Bowden at all. She just didn't feel like the rule should apply to her. I didn't want this to turn into a cold text war, so I called her immediately. When she answered, she already sounded defensive. What's the big deal, Gemma? She said before I could even get a word out. Alea, I said carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. I need you to respect this boundary. I've been very clear from the start. No kids at the ceremony or dinner. It's only a couple of hours, and I really want you to have that time to celebrate and relax without worrying about a baby. She sighed loudly, like I was being ridiculous. Gemma, you don't understand. I can't just leave Bowden with anyone. And honestly, you're overreacting. He'll sit in my lap the whole time. You won't even notice he's there. That's not the point, I said, my voice trembling with frustration. It's not about Bowden crying or not crying. It's about respecting the plan Rocco and I made and being fair to everyone. Other guests went to the trouble of arranging childcare because they respected this rule. It wouldn't be right to make an exception for just one person. Her tone instantly shifted, sharp and defensive. So you're saying you'd rather have me miss your wedding than just let me bring my baby? That hit me like a punch to the chest. No, of course not. I protested. I want you there, Alea. That's why I went out of my way to make this local instead of a destination wedding. I literally changed my dream wedding plans so it would be easier for you and Francisco. She went completely quiet for a moment. I thought maybe she was processing what I'd said, but then she replied coldly, well, maybe I shouldn't even come. Mom. Before I could respond, she hung up. I sat there on the couch, staring at my phone, absolutely stunned. My chest felt tight, and tears started welling up in my eyes. I'd gone out of my way to make this day special for everyone, especially AITA, and now she was threatening not to come at all. That evening, my mom called me. I could tell from her tone she'd already spoken to AITA. "Gemma, honey," she said gently, "AITA is really upset. She feels like you're pushing her away." I nearly dropped the phone. "I'm not pushing her away," I said, my voice breaking. "I'm asking her to follow the same rule as everyone else. I've been crystal clear about this for 2 years, Mom." Mom sighed, clearly torn. "You know how sensitive she is right now. She's exhausted, she's hormonal, and Bowden's still so little. Maybe you couldn't make an exception, just this once." I felt my stomach twist. If I make an exception for AITA, how do I explain that to the other guests who arrange childcare? Some of them are driving hours just to be here, and they respected this boundary without complaint. It wouldn't be fair to them. Mom didn't have an answer. She just said softly, "Please, Gemma, don't let this ruin your relationship with your sister." I barely slept that night, tossing and turning, wondering if maybe I was being too rigid. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about a baby. It was about respect. The next day, things somehow got worse. Rocco came home looking visibly stressed. "You're not going to like this," he said, setting his phone on the counter. "Francisco messaged me on Facebook." My heart dropped. What did he say? Rocco handed me the phone, and my hands shook as I read the message. "Francisco, 3:12 p.m. Rocco, I'm trying to keep the peace here, but AITA is heartbroken. She feels like Gemma is being controlling. It's not a big deal for us to bring Bowden, and frankly, we don't think it's fair to exclude our baby from a family event." I couldn't believe what I was reading. Now Francisco was getting involved, framing me as the villain, making it seem like I was being cruel instead of holding a simple, reasonable boundary. I looked at Rocco, my voice trembling. "We are not giving in. If they bring Bowden, it's going to cause drama with everyone else. We have to hold firm." Rocco nodded, though his expression was heavy with worry. "I'm with you, Gemma, but we need to be prepared for them to actually not come." 2 days later, things escalated even further. I logged onto Facebook and immediately saw a post from AITA. My heart dropped as I read it. It's sad when family prioritizes rules over relationships. Sometimes, being a parent means you can't just leave your baby behind, and it hurts when people don't understand that. She hadn't named me directly, but it was obvious to everyone what she was talking about. Within hours, extended family members were messaging me, asking what was going on. Some were sympathetic, but others were clearly siding with AITA, making subtle comments about how babies are part of the family and how weddings should be inclusive. I felt humiliated and betrayed. AITA hadn't just disagreed with me privately. She'd aired our conflict to the entire family, painting me as cold and heartless. I immediately texted her, "Me, 9:27 p.m. AITA, please take down the post. This is a private matter, and it's causing unnecessary drama." She didn't reply. Later that night, Mom called again, sounding frazzled. "Gemma, people are calling me nonstop about AITA's post. This is turning into a family feud. Please, just talk to her again. Maybe there's a compromise." "There is no compromise," I said, finally letting my frustration spill over. "This isn't about Bowden anymore. This is about AITA refusing to respect me. If I cave now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Mom went silent, clearly upset. Finally, she just said, "I hope you're ready to deal with the fallout." And now here I am, stuck in the middle of a storm I never wanted. My sister is furious. My mom is caught between us. My fiancé is stressed beyond belief, and my extended family is whispering behind my back. All because I asked for one simple boundary on my wedding day. Last night, everything came to a head, and it feels like my world has been turned upside down. I was sitting on the couch with Rocco, trying to distract myself by watching a movie, but my phone was never out of reach. I kept glancing at it every couple of minutes, hoping, praying, that AITA would finally respond to the last message I'd sent. The silence was eating away at me. Then, at 10:15 p.m., my phone buzzed. My stomach dropped the second I saw her name pop up on the screen. I hesitated for a second before opening it, my hands trembling. "AITA, 10:15 p.m. Gemma, I've thought about it. If you can't accept Bowden being there, then Francisco and I won't come at all. I don't want to fight with you, but I have to do what's best for my family." My heart shattered as I read those words. Tears immediately welled up in my eyes. I read it out loud to Rocco, my voice breaking on the last sentence. He reached over and wrapped his arms around me, holding me tightly. "Gemma," he said softly, "I know this hurts, but if she's giving you an ultimatum like this, she's making her choice. You've been clear and kind, and you've gone out of your way to accommodate her. This isn't on you. But she's my sister," I whispered through tears. "She's supposed to stand beside me on one of the most important days of my life. I changed my whole wedding plan to make sure she could be here. I can't believe she's willing to skip it over one rule." Rocco kissed my forehead. "You deserve to enjoy your wedding without feeling like you're being manipulated or guilt-tripped. If she chooses to walk away, that's her decision." I sat there, clutching my phone, feeling like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. I knew whatever I said next could either make things better or completely destroy our relationship. Finally, with my heart pounding, I typed out my response. "Me, 10:32 p.m. I love you, Alea, but the rule stands. I hope you'll still come, without Bowden. If not, I'll miss you deeply. But I have to respect the boundaries Rocco and I set. I stared at the screen for a long moment before pressing send. The moment the message went through, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Alea didn't reply. I sat awake for hours, checking my phone every few minutes, hoping for those three little typing dots to appear. Nothing, just cold, empty silence. This morning, things went from painful to devastating. I woke up to dozens of notifications on my phone, group chats, Facebook tags, Instagram stories. Confused and still half asleep, I opened Instagram first. The very first story I saw was from Francisco. It was a boomerang of 2 plane tickets on a counter with the caption, "Weekend getaway to clear our heads. Can't wait to spend time with my favorite people." And then, the part that nearly knocked the breath out of me. Sometimes, when family doesn't support you, you have to put your own family first. My hands went numb. I felt my throat close up as I realized what it meant. They weren't just skipping my wedding. They had booked a vacation for the exact weekend of my wedding, and now they were flaunting it publicly. I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I immediately called Alea. She didn't pick up. I called again, straight to voicemail. I texted her, me, 7:32 a.m. Alea, please tell me that post doesn't mean what I think it means. Are you really skipping my wedding to go on a vacation? No reply. I sat there shaking, anger starting to burn through my heartbreak. After everything I'd done for her, moving the wedding, bending over backward to include her, she didn't just decline my invitation. She publicly humiliated me by announcing to everyone that she'd rather sip cocktails on a beach than stand by my side. Rocco tried to calm me down, but I was spiraling. This isn't just about a baby anymore, I said, pacing the living room. She's making a statement. She's trying to make me look like a villain to the whole family. Rocco rubbed the back of his neck. I think Francisco's driving a lot of this. He's been pushing her from the start. I don't care who's driving it, I snapped. Alea is still choosing to go along with it. A few hours later, the texts started flooding in. My cousin Valerie's godmother, who lives out of state, messaged me first. Hey Gemma, I just saw Alea's Instagram story. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? People are starting to talk about what's going on. Then, a message from my aunt. Gemma, I don't want to take sides, but maybe you should reconsider. Family is more important than rules. And finally, one from Mom. Mom, 9:11 a.m. Honey, please call me. We need to talk before this gets any worse. When I called Mom, she sounded exhausted. Gemma, the family group chat is blowing up. Alea told everyone you're refusing to let her bring Bowden, and now people are saying you're being cold and selfish. I felt my blood boil. Mom, she's twisting the story. I never said she couldn't come. I said she couldn't bring Bowden. That's been the rule since the very beginning. Mom sighed. I know, honey, but perception matters. And right now, people only know Alea's version. Maybe you should explain your side. I shouldn't have to explain myself. I cried. This is my wedding. Why is everyone acting like my boundaries don't matter? Mom hesitated before speaking again. I don't want to upset you, but your grandmother just called me in tears. She says she won't attend if Alea doesn't. Now your uncle's saying the same thing. My chest tightened. So now I'm going to lose even more family members because Alea decided to make this a public fight? Mom's voice broke. I just want my daughters to get along. Please, Gemma, isn't there some way you can compromise? I ended the call before I said something I'd regret. Later that afternoon, I got a group text from Alea and Francisco. My hands shook as I opened it. Alea, 2:47 p.m. We just want to make this clear so there's no confusion. We will not be attending your wedding. We're choosing peace for our little family, and we hope one day you'll understand why we made this decision. Francisco, 2:49 p.m. We love you, but we can't support a situation that excludes our son. We'll be out of town that weekend, so please don't contact us about this again. I stared at the screen in disbelief. They didn't just skip my wedding. They essentially blocked me out of their lives until further notice. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone across the room. Instead, I sat on the floor and sobbed until my chest physically hurt. That evening, Rocco and I went to my parents' house for dinner. When we walked in, Mom was crying at the kitchen table, and Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Mom looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. Gemma, I begged Alea to reconsider. She won't budge. She says you've made it clear that you don't support her as a mother. Don't support her? I said, my voice shaking. I rearranged my entire wedding to make it easier for her. How is that not support? Dad finally spoke up, his tone heavy. This has gone too far. Your sister is being unreasonable, but so is Francisco. He's turning this into a power play. Mom grabbed my hand. Please don't let this destroy our family. There has to be a way forward. I looked at Rocco, then back at my parents. There is no way forward right now. They made their choice. All I can do is move forward with my wedding and hope they eventually see the truth. The next morning, I woke up to another blow. Francisco had posted a picture on Facebook of him, Alea, Valerie, and Bowden smiling in matching outfits, captioned, "Nothing matters more than family. Excited for our weekend adventure." The comments were flooded with supportive messages from extended relatives. Good for you guys for standing your ground. Family first, always. So sad that some people don't get it. Reading through them felt like being stabbed over and over. I realized then that there was nothing left to say. On the morning of my wedding, I didn't check my phone. I couldn't couldn't bear to see more drama. When I walked down the aisle and saw Rocco waiting for me, everything else faded away for a moment. But as the reception began, there were noticeable absences. My grandmother's chair sat empty. My uncle never showed up. Even a few cousins canceled last minute in solidarity with AITA. It hurt, but I forced myself to focus on the people who did come, my friends, Rocco's family, and a handful of supportive relatives. The night was beautiful in its own way, but there was a shadow over it. Every time I glanced at the space where AITA should have been standing beside me, my heart ached. 2 days later, AITA finally sent me a message. AITA, 8:01 p.m. I saw some pictures from the wedding. You look beautiful. I hope you're happy with how it turned out. That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of the pain she caused. Just a cold, distant message. I stared at it for a long time before replying. Me, 8:12 p.m. Thanks. I wish you'd been there. She never responded. It's been a week now. Rocco and I are back from a short honeymoon, and I've had time to process everything. I don't know if AITA and I will ever fully repair our relationship. Right now, it feels like there's a wall between us that Francisco helped build, and I'm too tired to try to climb it. But I do know this. I stood my ground. I protected the vision Rocco and I had for our wedding, even when it cost me deeply. It wasn't the perfect day I imagined, but it was ours. And maybe, someday, AITA will realize that love isn't about bending until you break. Sometimes, love means holding firm, even when it hurts.
You are not the AITA. Your entire narrative demonstrates loyalty, care, and consistency in honoring your commitments, even when it meant sacrificing personal dreams. You accommodated AITA in ways that went far beyond normal sibling obligations, switching from an Italian destination wedding to a local venue, offering her a place of honor, and maintaining clarity on rules from the start. Every guest knew the policy. Every guest respected it. The principle here wasn't about noise or Bowden himself, but about equality and fairness. Once you start bending rules for one person, the integrity of the event collapses, and resentment spreads among those who honored the guidelines. My insight: AITA's actions were less about maternal instinct and more about control. By announcing her intent rather than requesting approval, she reframed your boundary as negotiable. The subsequent escalation, public posts, ultimatums, and Francisco's interference demonstrates a shift from miscommunication to manipulation. Her behavior effectively weaponized family sympathy against you, positioning herself as the victim while eroding your credibility. My suggestion: continue to hold your ground. Relationships cannot be preserved by sacrificing your dignity or autonomy. Instead, invest in those relatives and friends who respected you throughout this ordeal. They are the ones who will sustain you long term. If reconciliation with AITA is possible in the future, it must begin with acknowledgement of the harm she caused. Until then, space may be the healthiest path. My joke: weddings are supposed to be about tying the knot, not about untangling a sibling's web of drama. Think of it this way: your marriage license is a binding contract. Your sister tried to sneak in an amendment written in invisible ink. You spotted it, rejected it, and signed the original terms. That's not being controlling, that's just good proofreading. Final judgment: you are not the AITA. AITA is. She transformed your joyous moment into a test of loyalty, then punished you for refusing to bend. You upheld your word, protected your day, and preserved your fairness. That is strength, not cruelty. Before we jump into the next story, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let us know your favorite part in the comments.
AITA for blocking my friend after he started acting weird? I've been feeling a heavy mix of guilt and confusion these past few days, and I really need to get this off my chest because it's been eating me alive. I keep replaying every single interaction in my mind, over and over again, trying to figure out if I was too harsh, if I misread things, or if I finally just had enough. About 5 months ago, I met a guy named Bailey while playing an online co-op game. It wasn't anything deep or meaningful at first. We just happened to be paired together during a random match late one evening. The match went well, we had great teamwork, joked a bit, and even won. At the end, he sent me a friend request. I didn't think too hard about it, but I accepted. Over the next few weeks, we started playing together more and more. It became almost a nightly routine. At first, our conversations were lighthearted and purely about the game. But as time passed, we started talking about real-life things, our days, our families, random stories. Slowly, a real friendship formed. I've never really had many guy friends, especially not ones I felt truly comfortable around. Most of my friendships have been with girls, and while they're amazing, there's always been this tiny part of me that wondered what it would be like to have a purely platonic bond with a guy, someone who wasn't interested in me romantically, just a genuine friend. With Bailey, it finally felt like I had that. We'd stay up late playing matches, sometimes until the sun was almost rising. We'd laugh until our sides hurt, vent about life, and send each other funny memes throughout the day. Bailey had this goofy habit of coming up with ridiculous nicknames for me, things like Captain Potato or Supreme Waffle Master. They were silly and over the top, but they always made me laugh. It felt safe. It felt fun. It felt simple. I honestly believed that what we had was special, a strong, purely platonic connection. Kieran. It meant more to me than I could really explain. When we first met, Bailey was totally caught up in his feelings for a girl he had been interested in for a long time. Let's call her Kieran. Almost every single time we played, Bailey would vent about her. He would talk endlessly about how much he liked her, how confusing she was, how she'd send him mixed signals, and how anxious he felt whenever she didn't text him back. I listened. Every single time I listened. I gave him advice when he asked, tried to reassure him when he spiraled, and even encouraged him to set healthy boundaries when it seemed like Kieran was stringing him along. To be honest, it was draining sometimes. There were nights when I wanted to just relax and play without diving into heavy emotional territory, but I cared about Bailey. I wanted to be there for him, especially since he didn't seem to have many close friends to confide in. Eventually, Bailey decided to stop pursuing Kieran altogether. He said he couldn't keep living in this cycle of hope and heartbreak. I was relieved for him because I could see how much it was taking out of him. Not long after, he met another girl while playing the same game we had met on. For a little while, things seemed to be going well between them. They played together often, and he even mentioned her a few times to me. But just like before, the connection fizzled out. Bailey was disappointed, but not as devastated as he had been with Kieran. After that, things between us felt normal again. The stress and tension faded, and it was back to our usual dynamic, or so I thought. Then, a few weeks ago, everything shifted. Around that same time, I had quietly started a relationship with someone I'd been seeing for a while. It was still relatively new, and I didn't feel ready to share it with everyone. I tend to keep my personal life private, and only two of my closest friends even knew. Bailey wasn't one of them. Then Bailey's behavior started to change. At first, it was subtle. The goofy, harmless nicknames he used to call me were replaced with things like baby and beautiful. The first time he called me baby, I laughed awkwardly and brushed it off. I assumed he was joking, maybe just trying out some weird new humor. But then the comments became more frequent. Little compliments slipped into conversations, his tone shifting ever so slightly. One night, after a particularly long gaming session, I got a message from him completely out of the blue. Bailey, you're mini. My stomach dropped. I stared at the message for a long time, my mind racing. Finally, I typed back, me, Bailey. I really hope you're just joking because I'm taken. His reply came almost instantly, a laughing emoji followed by, Bailey, yeah, sure you are. It was obvious he didn't believe me. He thought I was just rejecting him politely. That bothered me deeply because I was telling the truth. I really was in a relationship, and I wanted him to respect that boundary. But instead of backing off, Bailey started pushing harder. The very next time we played together, I decided to invite another friend to join us. I figured having 3 people on the team would help lighten the mood and keep things casual. But midway through the session, Bailey sent me a private message asking who the third person was. I told him it was just a friend I played with occasionally. Later that night, after we had logged off, I sent Bailey a silly cat meme I'd found online. It was completely random and harmless. His response made my skin crawl. Bailey, you send me stuff like that, and you're gonna make me feel some type of way, lol. I froze. It felt wrong, inappropriate in a way I couldn't even fully articulate. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I replied, me, EW. What? No. I thought being direct and firm would make him realize how out of line he was being. Instead, the very next day, Bailey went completely cold on me. The next time we played, he barely spoke at all. When I texted him outside of the game to check in, his responses were painfully short, just 1 or 2 words like, yeah, or ick. The change was so abrupt, it hurt. We had gone from endless conversations and laughter to dead silence. Still, I tried to be understanding. Maybe something was going on in his personal life. Maybe he needed some space. But then, one evening, I noticed Bailey was playing a completely different game, one he hadn't touched in months. Curious and trying to reconnect, I sent him a message, me, whoa, you're back on that game? What's up? Bailey, ick. Just 3 letters. That was all he gave me. I sat there staring at my screen, frustration bubbling in my chest. I had been trying so hard to keep this friendship alive, to keep us connected, and it felt like he didn't care at all anymore. On the day I finally decided to block him, I gave him one last chance. I messaged him, me, hey, are you good? You've been really distant lately. Is something going on? He didn't reply right away. When he finally did, his response felt almost dismissive. Bailey, I'm good. Why? My gut twisted. Something about that reply didn't sit right with me. So, I pushed a little more. Me, I don't know, you just seem off. I can tell something's bothering you. After a long pause, his final message came through. Bailey, probably NGL. That was it. No explanation. No vulnerability. No effort to open up. Just vague indifference. It felt like a slap in the face. I had been patient, understanding, and caring. I had checked in on him repeatedly, even after he crossed boundaries and made me feel uncomfortable. And in return, he gave me nothing. Something inside me snapped. My fingers fingers trembled as I typed a single letter, me, K. Then, without overthinking it, I blocked him on everything: the game, Discord, social media, everything. At first, a strange wave of relief washed over me. It felt like I could finally breathe again. No more walking on eggshells, no more second-guessing every word I said, no more confusion. But now, days later, guilt has started creeping back in. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if I overreacted. Maybe Bailey was dealing with something heavy in his personal life and just didn't know how to talk about it. Maybe I should have been more patient, more understanding, more forgiving. But then I remember how it all began. How he completely disregarded my boundaries when I told him I was taken. How he kept pushing, even when I made it clear I was uncomfortable. How he made me feel like I was the one overreacting, like I was the problem, whenever I tried to stand up for myself. I don't hate Bailey. If anything, I miss the friend he used to be, the one who made me laugh until my stomach hurt, the one who made me feel safe and understood. But I also know, deep down, that I can't keep pouring myself into a friendship that has become toxic and one-sided. I'm left conflicted, broken, and so unbelievably lost. Was I wrong for cutting him off completely? Or was it the only way to finally protect my own peace?
You are not the AITA. Your description shows a deep commitment to empathy and patience long before the conflict reached its breaking point. You offered Bailey steady support through his romantic frustrations, you endured lengthy venting sessions even when they drained you, and you prioritized his well-being over your own comfort. When the dynamic shifted into something inappropriate, you responded with clarity, you named your boundaries, you restated that you were in a relationship, and you attempted to keep the friendship lighthearted by adding another teammate. These are all responsible and thoughtful steps. My insight: Bailey's progression from playful nicknames to possessive language marked a shift in tone that placed you in an unfair position. His refusal to accept your words at face value, especially when you disclosed that you were already in a relationship, undermined your honesty and dignity. Instead of respecting your boundary, he tested it repeatedly, reframing his interest as joking when confronted. This behavior transformed the friendship into a lopsided power struggle where you were pressured to justify yourself constantly. My suggestion: blocking was not impulsive, it was decisive self-protection. A healthy friendship requires reciprocity, accountability, and respect for limits. When those elements disappear, silence becomes an answer in itself. You extended multiple chances, sent invitations for dialogue, and expressed concern directly. His vague indifference, probably NGL, was not a cry for help, but a dismissal of your attempts to connect. The healthiest response was to stop investing in someone unwilling to treat your comfort seriously. My joke: think of this like gaming mechanics. You were playing co-op, but Bailey kept switching to solo campaign rules where only his actions mattered. You patched glitches, adjusted settings, and rebooted the match over and over. Eventually, you realized the bug wasn't in your console, it was in his programming. Quitting the session wasn't rage quitting, it was preserving your bandwidth. Final judgment: you are not the AITA. Bailey's disregard for your boundaries, his shift into possessive language, and his refusal to engage sincerely left you no other path but to walk away. You safeguarded your peace, asserted your value, and ended a toxic loop. That is not cruelty, that is courage. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments and let us know which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this video, you'll definitely want to check out AITA for publicly exposing my husband affair. Click here to watch it now.